Hi, and welcome to the BookishStitcher podcast. My name is Jeanette. You can find me on Ravelry, Instagram, and Goodreads as BookishStitcher, all in one word. I hope you guys have had an awesome week since I last podcasted. It has been a fun weekend, and it's kind of been really special for my son. It's kind of been a weekend all about him because yesterday on Saturday, he got to go to a chess tournament, and he hasn't been to one of those in forever. And any of you who've watched the podcast from the beginning will remember that he used to be very into chess. We went all the time, and he was the regional champion for this part of Texas for chess. And he was just, he is amazing at it, and he really thought that he was going to go up really high in it. But as one of the first years that we were doing it, nationals for the entire country was in Dallas, which is in Texas where I live, not a far drive, San Antonio to Dallas. And we went, and he had this private coach that just thought he was so amazing that he was giving us lessons for super cheap, which he never does because we couldn't afford to do the full price lessons. But when we went to nationals, we found out we got to meet some of the kids that are ranked, some of the top 5 kids in the nation for chess. And a lot of them had parents that flew them to different chess tournaments all over the states on weekends so that they could compete more, so they could rise up in the rankings. Because the more you play, the higher up your rankings go, and that's how the kids get to be these grand masters and higher up in the chess rankings. And we talked to one, he was one of the kids, or his parents, I talked to his parents, who he was in the top 5 people, and his parents owned a private plane, and they would fly him to different chess things. And we were just not at that level at all. So he kind of didn't get to play it as much as the other kids, and he never got to really, I guess, see how far he could have gone with it, because I don't know if it's kind of an elite thing like that, but he just sadly didn't get to do that just because we aren't super wealthy. And so he hadn't gotten to play chess in a very long time, and because there weren't as many matches locally, and we couldn't afford to fly him to other ones around the country. But there was a local one, and we weren't busy on that weekend, and so we went yesterday, and he got to play chess again. And since he hadn't played in such a long time, he had a rough time, and he was pretty upset, but he loved getting to do it again. And hopefully there will be some more local stuff that he can do. Hopefully maybe he'll start picking back up again, and he'll get to playing it more than he used to for the past couple of years, because he loved it, and he was amazing at it for a while when there was stuff here that he could do. And then today he had some school friends that had a birthday party out actually where I vended last weekend at Seguin. And I've never gone to Seguin 2 weekends in a row. It's 45 minutes away from our house, so it's a pretty long drive. So we drove out there, and there's this place out there called ZDT's Amusement Park, and they have apparently the steepest roller coaster in the United States and all this different stuff. And he got to go there and have some fun at his friend's birthday party. So he's had a wonderful, very centered on him weekend, which is awesome, and he's quite enjoyed it. So that's why I'm podcasting a little bit later, because we've been all about the Jaden. So yeah, I have an finished object to show you this week, and I'm so glad, because this has been on the needles not quite a year. I was very happy about, I think, 10 months or less. But it's my best friend's sweater. And the knitting is all done. Most of the ends are woven in, and most of the pocket stuff and that kind of thing is done, except for the one pocket isn't. But it's really neat because I showed you guys last week, I had just the sleeve left on this one and then the pockets. So I thought, oh, that'll go super fast because sleeve I didn't have much, and the pockets should be really easy. But these are the most complicated pockets I have ever done, and my husband was helping me with it, figuring out how to line it up and seam them up, and he was saying these are the nicest pockets I've ever seen. So it's a lot of work, and it took a lot longer than I thought it would, but it looks beautiful. And since it's for my best friend, I want it to be something that she's gonna love. So this is the Cloud Bay sweater by Justina Lorikowska. It's knit out of Knit Picks Capra, which is wool cashmere nylon blend, and it's super soft, and my best friend wanted it in white. I think that's why it took me a long time, because there was no color at all. and I just kind of stalled out on it. Now you can kind of see here where the ends are sewn in, but once it's blocked, that's going to kind of disappear. And I really love the band here. I think it's beautiful. She has a lot of nice finishing touches in this, like the pockets. I'm not going to give too much away, but the pockets are done in I-cord for the bind off, and then the pocket is so squishy how it's done. It's just really amazing, and I think my best friend is going to love this. And it was supposed to be a Christmas present, but her birthday is in the middle of May, so now it's a birthday present. And since she's moving to Chile in a couple weeks, then that makes me really sad to say, but since she's moving to Chile in a couple weeks, since it's about to be winter down there, this will be perfect, and she can wrap herself up in hugs from her best friend in the form of a sweater. So yeah, I'm excited to give that to her when we get to see her next, right before they leave. So that's my finished sweater. I have some coffee. When we were driving back from the birthday party, we passed by this new coffee place, and I've gone there a couple times and I really like it, and I wanted to introduce my husband to it. So it's called On the Grind, and it's just a little tiny shack. You can't go inside, it's just a drive-through, and they have crazy cheap coffee. And the guy there that owns it, it's his first time ever owning something. He like put all his money into this little business, and he's doing it, and he's so happy and so excited. And he's always like, how's your day going? He's very chipper. Imagine Ronald Weasley from Harry Potter. That's what he looks like, but a very chipper, excited Ronald Weasley. And so my husband got a drink, hot coffee called like the Big Tex, and I got a Hawaiian iced coffee. But they wrote stuff on the drinks. Mine says Happy Sunday. My husband says you're gonna rock this week. So it was just really cool to get that. But then the next thing that I have to show you, I'm gonna show you my socks. So in my Diana Couture bag, I finished the first of my mustache socks. Now I was looking at my goals for this year, and one of my goals is to have a finished sock every Sunday of the year. And I went to next time, I'm gonna try to like go through all my goals and kind of give you guys a status update on how I'm doing with those, since it will have been about 4 months out of the year have gone by. But these are the mustache socks, and it's the Daily Eggs colorway. And I finished the first one, and on the second one I am about done with the heel turn. I'm doing the Fish Lips Kiss heel. So that's where those are. And as soon as I finish the heel turn, I'm going to be putting these aside to take to Maryland Sheep and Wool, because I like these I took to the chess tournament. So I had just finished the first stripe when we arrived at the chess tournament yesterday, and I finished all of this in one day at the chess tournament. And I wasn't knitting the whole time. I was, helping my son. I was getting food for my kids. I was coloring with my daughter. I was playing with her toys with her. I was walking my daughter to the bathroom, all kinds of stuff. So if I am just sitting and knitting on a day like airports and stuff like that, I can get a whole sock done in one day. So I'm gonna make sure I bring enough knitting to Maryland, even though I could obviously get more yarn while I'm there. But that's first work in progress. Then the next thing I picked up that I was just loving so much and I put aside because I wanted to give myself a week off from the Rain on Princess Street shawl, because I've just been working on that so much. I really wanted to put that aside so that I could come back to it after having some other stuff off the needles. So I think it will take me a while to get that off the needles, because while I only have a few repeats left, each repeat is 4 rows, and they take quite a while because of the extreme amount of stitches on the needles. So this is in another Diana Couture bag that my husband got me for my birthday. It's St. Patrick's Day one. This is my St. Patrick's Day shawl. It just wasn't done in time. And in here I have the first light shawl by Vera Valimaki. I'm doing this out of some hazelnuts and some lammy toes. And the hazelnuts colorway is chamois pants, and the lammy toes is festive conifer, which was a Christmas color, but I don't think it's too Christmassy. It's mostly white with flecks of browns and greens. And here's the shawl. It's really too big to spread out and show you, but I am so close to being done. I thought of not recording till I had this done, but the rows are very long. So even though I only have less than 10 rows and then the bind off, that's like 10 hours worth of knitting. I can't stretch. It's huge. So it had the first short row section and then the lace section, and then I'm on the final short row section. So that's kind of, you can see, you work from over to the side, you keep going, adding length to the short rows until you get all the way over to this other side. So that's about how much I have left from this short row over to the end, and then it will be done. Not too much, but I really want to get this done, so I think this is going to be my big focus this week. So I can have my sweater that was finished this week, and then this will be finished for next week. And just getting some stuff off the needles. And then the last thing I have is a new cast on, because I am doing the Year of Designers, and my whole goal was every week I'd cast on a new pattern and show it to you guys. Well, I didn't have new patterns for most of April because I was working on that Rain on Princess Street shawl, and that kind of took over my focus. So one of the patterns that I was supposed to cast on and show you guys, I didn't even get to, but this one was a gift from a friend, so I really wanted to cast it on. The pattern was a gift from my friend Summer Yarns, who is one of the hosts of Kitchen Stitches. I didn't bring the tags down for this. I'll have it next time I show it, but this is the Tiene shawl by Melanie Berg, and it's Tiene, and it's knit out of some, it's not the chickadee, I think it's the owl by Quince & Co. And it's a light gray and a dark blue. I just worked on this last night. My husband and I are watching the Black Death lecture series on the Great Courses. It's a site where you can go on the Great Courses Plus and you can watch tons of different lectures, and I'm such a Ravenclaw that I love sitting and learning at night. So that is the shawl part that I did, and it's all about the stripes, right? Because here's stripes. My first light shawl has stripes, and I just love doing the stripes. I don't know, it's easy to count and see how far, if it's, you know, that one do 17 repeats, I can count and see, okay, I've done 14, so I have 3 more. It's just great. Now, I hand wound this into a ball, and it's interesting because the owl is rustic, but not in a way that I have been used to, because I felt rustic merino, but this is a merino alpaca and something else blend, and I've never felt rustic alpaca. So I'm not sure if it's for me, because it has a halo, a very pronounced halo, and it's not a soft halo. So I'm hoping when it's washed and given like a bath with a wool conditioner that it will soften up. If it doesn't, then it will probably be a shawl that I wear in the winter time over like a light long sleeve shirt, because in Texas I don't need a giant puffy coat. You can just have a long sleeve shirt and a shawl draped over you and you're good. So I still do get use out of my bigger shawls, and this is done on size 7 needle, so it's like a worsted weight yarn, I believe. The bag that I have this in is a You Sew and Sew bag, and I love it because it kind of reminds me of a medieval tapestry with the different forest animals. But yeah, that is all the knitting that I have for this week. I did get back to my spinning. I spun for a little over an hour on Tuesday, which is kind of my spinning day. And I thought, I was like, should I just push through this week and get my loop bump done just to have it done, because I'm falling so far behind on my unofficial spin the bin. But I really wanted to get the sweater done, because this is the last day for the sweater knit along that I'm co-hosting with Knitting at Tiffany's and Erin of Bling Your String. And I really wanted to be like, I finished a sweater during this. So I feel happy that I stuck to that instead of the spinning and got that done. So, and my best friend's gonna be moving soon. So to get it done to give off to her, it doesn't work to her. If I don't finish your sweater, you can't move, right? So yeah, but it's all the knitting and the spinning. And then group news. I closed the thread for the Summer Skies yarn contest, and the winner for that was a post that somebody did, and this is one of my favorite ones that I looked to. I had like 8 or 9 that I just loved, that I would love to do yarn colors for all of them. But it was Chevy Urel, and she posted a picture of fireflies, and it's this gorgeous like dark night background with a jar, and it has fireflies kind of coming out, and I already have an idea in mind. I'm not going to tell you, but how I'm going to do the yarn. I'm really excited about it because I think it's going to be gorgeous, and I think it would work up great in socks or anything else that you wanted, but I really think it was going to make a great sock yarn to knit some socks that would be just stunningly beautiful. So I'm excited about that. And that was the one that had the most love button clicks. It had 31 love button clicks. So thank you everyone that voted and everyone that shared a picture. And then we had the DFW giveaway from when I was there, and I got 4 things that people gave and donated so kindly. Thank you again to everyone that donated to give away. And so we had a skein of mustache yarn, minis from Lone Star Arts, a braid of fiber, and a gradient set from the 100th Sheep. It's 4 things. And so I chose 4 winners because there are 4 things. And so the only fair way I can think of to do this is the first person who contacts me can get their pick, and so on and so on and so on. So just when you see this, please post only, not on YouTube, not on, don't private message me, just post in the Ravelry thread. So it'll say episode number, whatever episode this is, and it will say, finished sweater, I think will probably be the title, and then just post under there like, I want the braided fiber, I want the mustache. And so 3 of the winners are fiber winners. So yeah, and 1 of them is not, or fiber, they're spinners. 3 of the winners are spinners because I wrote it all down, and 1 of them is not. So the last spinner to contact me, if the braided fiber hasn't been claimed, that will go to them. Anyway, okay, so I hope that makes sense. So in the order that they were chosen by random number, the first one was post number 72, which is Mita Mimi, and she is a spinner. And post number 90, which is Mosaic Madness, who is also a spinner. Post number 10, which is Cheeto Mom 2, and she just started spinning, so yay. And then post number 63, Choward 06, and she is not a spinner. So those are the 4 winners. Right on the Ravelry thread to say which one you want when you see this. And yeah, congratulations to everybody that won. And Maryland is coming up, so there will be another prize thing. I don't know if people don't, I'm not going to ask anybody to donate anything because I never ever do that. But I will buy something for you guys if nobody makes me take stuff, because that's what happened at DFW's. People were just so kind and were like, please, please take this. So my friend Amanda from Lone Star Arts quite literally put the minis in my bag, and she was like, take these. So thank you, Amanda, you're super sweet. So that is all for the group news. Like I said, the sweater knit along ends today, and I will be, Diana Couture offered a bag, and so we'll do that as one of the prize, and then I have another prize thing that we'll be doing too. So I'll be drawing winners from the FO thread and from the chatter thread that are in the BookishStitcher podcast group on Ravelry. I always forget to say that at the beginning. Like every other podcast says their group right at the beginning, and I sometimes forget to even say it, or sometimes say it at the end. And then the next thing, I have kind of notes today. The next thing is Maryland. I'm going to be at Maryland, like I said, and I'm just going to be there for Saturday because I didn't want to be gone for too long for my family. So I'm just going to be there on Saturday at the festival. I'll be flying home on Sunday. And if you're going to be there, please stop me and say hi if you see me. I will try to go to the podcaster meetup. I before the one time I went to Rhinebeck, before the podcaster meetup, I got nauseous, very, very like sick to my stomach. And my friend Lauren, Elbeth21, had to drag me up the hill because I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Because crowds make me nervous. If we could go one-on-one and have coffee and just sit and knit, that I would love to do that with every single one of you. But like a giant like hill or crowded area with tons of people in it, and me not being able to like see what's going on really makes me nervous. But so I will probably most likely be at the podcaster meetup. But if you see me somewhere else, please stop me and say hi. And I will have buttons and maybe other things. I don't know if I might tie up some mini skeins from my shop or something to take with me if you guys like that. And also, if there is something from the Etsy shop, which is Open Skies Yarn, that you see that you would like, you can message me on Instagram or Ravelry, and I will give you a coupon code for free shipping. Only for the first, let's say 3 or 4 people, because I'm very big minimalist, as I've said, and I only ever travel with a carry-on and my like little purse bag. I don't check a bag. Even when I go to local things here in Texas, I always just have like one bag, and people are always like, is that all you brought? And I'm like, yep. I always travel very lightly. I like to have very minimal kind of stuff. But so the first 3 or 4 people, if anybody wants to contact me, then yeah, I can bring your yarn for free shipping to Maryland. And then the shop, like I said, Open Skies Yarn on Etsy. There's a ton of stuff still in there. Thank you to everyone that's come and favorited stuff in the shop, or still have some really sweet reviews of their yarn this week. Thank you so much. Made my day. And thank you to everyone's favorited the shop. Thank you to everybody who came by and used the coupon code this week. There's still lots up in there if you would like to use the coupon code and you haven't. And I also wanted to ask you guys, do you like DK weight yarn? Is it a thing that I should keep in the shop or not? I've noticed that some indie dyers sell a lot of DK weight yarn, but I know different people like to buy different things from different indie dyers. So I like looking at like what sells in the shop and what does not sell at all. I'm just wondering, do you guys like buying DK weight from indie dyers? Because I might not keep that. I'm just kind of deciding on that to see if that's like a good option for me if I, want to get more DK weight yarn in the future, or if it's just not a weight that you guys like to buy from indie dyers. And then I think that's it for the shop news. Yeah, I'm not going to be putting anything new till I get back from Maryland and have time. And also with being in Maryland, the podcast will be up later next week, maybe Monday night. But I should have a ton of knitting because I'm getting to just go on airplanes and go sit and knit and walk around. And I always, if you see me, I always have one of my Diana Couture bags or one of my tangled skein bags over my wrist so I can knit and walk. And hopefully I'll come back with some awesome stuff to show you guys, some enabling next week. Or if it's too overwhelming because there's so many people, like what happened to me the first day at Rhinebeck, I didn't really buy any yarn, because I was so overwhelmed at the number of people, that might happen too. But now for the book this week. This is one that I finished recently, and I've been reading for a while. It is The Girls of Atomic City, and it is by Denise Kiernan. And I've been wanting to read this for a while. We actually almost did it as a read-along when my friend Robin and I, 92, did a read-along together. It was one of the 4 or 5 choices that were up there. And I don't know if you've read, or if Robin, she's busy. I don't know if she'll see this anytime soon. But I don't know if you've read this yet, Robin, because I know she had it and wanted to read it too. So I read this that had been in my to-read list for forever. I'm kind of, how years ago I went through my oldest stash and read them. I'm kind of going through on my Goodreads, my oldest to be read books, and reading those. Kind of see, do I still want to read this? If I do, let's read it. And so this book is about women that worked at Clinton Engineer Works, which was CEW for short. And they were women that were called from all over and all different levels of, education and skill levels and stuff that they did. And they were brought here to this tiny little nowhere, it's called Oak Ridge, Tennessee, but it was basically a nowhere town. Like, it didn't exist prior to this. And the main purpose that the town rose up to 75,000 residents toward the end was they were making something that nobody really knew except for a few people, because all these people were hired to work on this secret project, but they were not allowed to talk about what they did, and everybody was so compartmentalized in the different areas that they worked that nobody was seeing the whole picture. And what they were working on, as you can probably guess, World War II, is the bomb. And it consumed, like, this town where all these people were working, it says it consumed more electricity than New York City. So it's just amazing that they had, really good pay, but they wouldn't tell people what they were doing. So all these women kind of wanted to, and they told them, you're going to be contributing in a way that's going to help end the war a lot quicker, and that will help bring your men home, your brothers, your husbands, your boyfriends. So a lot of them came hoping to, help the patriotic effort. And they're all in these place where it talked about, because there was constant construction, because it was rising up from nowhere, that there was just mud everywhere. The women's were trying to walk in their high heel shoes, and their shoes were just sinking into mud. And it basically focused on the stories of different women and their experiences. I guess the author did a lot of interviews, their experiences of living there in Oak Ridge. And I just wanted to share a couple interesting pictures and things with you. I talked a lot about the psychology of having what kind of problems it creates when you have a community that's all together, but that cannot speak about their daily lives, and that there's almost this element of worrying about spies everywhere, because some of the people were sent to be spies, but a lot of people lived in huts. I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see all this, but huts and just mud everywhere, and prefab houses. And it talked about how there were lines everywhere for getting your packages, for getting cigarette smoking used to be a big thing, getting your cigarettes, going to the market, going to the library. But that they realized very quickly that because of the nature of the community, that they were going to need to have social outlets for the people, or that they were going to have lots of problems. So they started having dances, they had basketball league, they had roller skating. So it really did become a little community in itself. And these are just some very interesting billboards that were present all around where they worked. What you see here, what you do here, what you hear here, when you leave here, let it stay here, because they were so concerned that a spy would find out stuff. One to go now, give it all we've got, stay on the job, finish the job. Your pen and your tongue can be enemy weapons. Watch what you write and say. And they talked about sending letters or getting letters, and it would just almost all of it be blacked out because so much was censored. And it shows the women working on different things. It shows the bomb site where it was set off and all kinds of stuff. And now, while I am not nuclear, World War III, that kind of stuff scares me a lot because of how powerful and horrendous it is, but this was an interesting book to read. So one of the things that I found really interesting, and it'll be the last little thing I'll say about it, they had this man who was in a car crash, and so he was admitted to the hospital, and they really wanted to test what would happen if they put into people the uranium, what would be going on with that. And so a man that had been admitted to the hospital, they started giving him shots of little amounts of uranium and taking samples of him while he was unconscious because he was in a coma. He's still alive. They didn't get his permission. They didn't ask his family. They didn't ask anybody. And taking samples of him, they took his teeth. They took 15 of his teeth in total out from his mouth. And he did wake up. This man lived, and he woke up later. And he was probably like, why am I missing teeth? And I'm sure they didn't tell him the truth. And so they were just using him as kind of a human guinea pig it's just crazy unethical. And you know, there's all kinds of stories out now about things like that that did happen. All the unethical things with medical practices where people were not told or asked what they were, if they wanted to participate in the study, or were not told what was really going on. But yeah, this man, they had a name for him, and they just called him HP12. And oh, sorry, it wasn't right. It was plutonium that they gave him. And you know, they just injected it to him. They were like, HP12 was 4.7 micrograms of 49 plutonium, and injections began on April 10th, 1945. And all this stuff is just like, they were very clinical about how they were doing it. And it's just crazy to me that how could you think that that would be okay? Like, oh, wonder what this does to people. Here's an unconscious man. Let's try it out on him. He can't object. So that's, you know, something it talks about a lot in the book. And yeah, 15 of his teeth were taken, and it talked about the bone samples and stuff, but it said, like, you know, a lot of information on that man. But it was a really interesting book. It took me a while to read, just because every single history nonfiction book that I read it very slowly, because I want to remember it. I feel like if I just fly through it, I remember very little. Now with fiction book, that's fine, but I want to know this so I can discuss it with anybody I can find. If you ever meet me at, you know, random places or stuff, I will sometimes start talking about history stuff that I know with anybody I can, because I am in love with knowledge and learning. But yeah, this book this week is The Girls of Atomic City by Denise Kiernan, and I definitely think you could get it from your library or anything like that. And I think it would make a great gift for somebody who is a history lover. It was a great book. And that is all I have. So until, oh, and don't forget, there's still a giveaway going on in the group for Silver Tombs stitch markers. Thank you again, Gina. And don't forget that the podcast will be coming up later next week, because I will be in Maryland. I'll try to take pictures and stuff like that. Or my friend Elisa, I'm going with my friend Elisa, my friend Tiene, and Elisa takes the most amazing pictures, and so maybe I can borrow some of hers, because my Instagram, it's like, that one's good, oh, that one was terrible, and I have no idea how to get good pictures all the time. I think it's just this amazing eye that some people have, and she definitely has it, so maybe she'll let me borrow some of her pictures for the podcast next week when it comes up, Monday, Tuesday, depending. But yeah, until next week, I hope you guys have a wonderful week and you get to do all the things you love. Okay, bye guys.